Hey guys, welcome back to 90's Obscurity. I have Ricky Kelley here tonight,
Hello.
my second video guest in the beautiful studio. And we are going to be talking about a lot of 90s bands tonight. We have too many to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we're going to start with Silverchair. We're going to talk about one of his favorites, Failure. I actually don't know a lot about them, but so he's going to have to carry me on that. And Local H, we're going to talk about. So a crazy thing happened tonight where we were driving to a bar in LA, and he was like, oh, I want to talk about the Silverchair song, but he goes, I'm not going to tell you because, you know, I like to focus on the obscure songs. And it's like, I didn't think I knew the song. So he was like, you know, I'll talk about it when we record. And we're at the bar and the song comes on. And
Craziness.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then the Failure song he was talking about came on. And then this Local H song came on that was so obscure I didn't even think I know it. And I was like, well, there's our show tonight. I do want to say, so for anybody just like tuning in for the first time, I always forget to do this. I read recently, it's like to grow your podcast, tell people who are listening for the first time, like what your podcast is about and what you're going to benefit from it. And I get so excited, like talking about things that I forget to do that. So basically what I do here is I like to focus on songs from the 90s that a lot of us have forgotten about. So remind you guys of great songs that you're like, oh my God, this is a good song. And I totally forgot about it. Or if you don't know it, I'll introduce you to new music. So that's kind of the purpose of this and what anybody will gain from it. And then the other thing I want to say is, you know, the audio version of this is a radio show where we're going to talk about songs and we will play them. The video version, they don't let us play songs, but you'll get to look at our beautiful faces and my beautiful 90s studio in the background. So that's the best. People love the videos though. So I just did my first video episode and it's like we got double the amount of views on video
gotcha.
than you do on audio. Yeah. Even my friends, I was like, if you're driving, listen to the audio, they still put the video on. I was like, guys. So, you want to say anything about yourself? Do you want to introduce yourself before we just jump right into it?
I'm new to this area, new to this amazing friendship, and she was so nice to let me come on and talk about 90s obscure music.
Yeah, we totally vibed about 90s
Yeah.
music. He plays a little music. So,
Yes.
we met actually at a concert at the Viper Room. So there's an artist called Jimmy Necko. I do actually want to talk about him on an episode. He's not 90s. He's technically like 2001 they first came out. But I feel like I would make an exception and do a 2000s episode.
Wonderful.
He's amazing, guys. If you haven't heard of the band Ours, O-U-R-S, check them out. They're my favorite band. So we met there, like totally vibed about music, and then we went out for karaoke and sang a lot of 90s classics. It was great. And my favorite part of that night actually was there was a guy that looked like a banker. And, like, he looked like he was there after, like, work at his finance job. And he's just kind of watching everyone singing, right? Like, he looks like he doesn't go there. And all of a sudden, he and I are talking, and we hear this guy get up. And it was like, I believe in a thing called love. And he, like, this guy killed it. I mean, hit the high notes and everything. And I look up, and it's the banker.
So
and I'm
good.
like, do you remember that?
Yeah, he was so good.
But I didn't expect it. He was in, like, a suit.
I would never have guessed. I would never have guessed it.
We were like, that guy. Like, only in LA do you go to do karaoke and everyone's like professional singers. You know what I mean? So we became music friends, and we're going to talk music now because he also loves 90s music.
Oh, very much so.
All right, so let's kick it off with Silverchair. I actually have some things to say about Silverchair that you're probably not going to like, but what are your thoughts on Silverchair? What do you have to say about them?
Oh, I feel like Silverchair got really popular with their first album, but a lot of
The
people
one with the frog?
Yes.
I had that
Frog
shirt.
Style. Oh,
In
nice,
the 8th
nice.
grade, the white one with the green frog.
Yes,
And I
yeah.
loved it. I wore it all the time.
Yes. But a lot of people don't realize how amazing their third and fourth albums were.
I didn't even know they had a third or
They're
a fourth album.
insanely good.
Like, when did they split? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I like look this stuff up. If I do episodes by myself, I'll look it up. Doesn't matter. But
it would have to be early. I would say 2002 or 3.
Okay. So I did actually look them up, like, just to see if they had an Instagram.
Yeah.
They don't. But Daniel Johns does.
You're right.
So I have a theory about Silverchair. I think that they were hugely popular because I think he looked like a little Kurt Cobain.
Yes, that's definitely what
right.
started
Like
it
I
off,
remember
yeah.
he was so cute in like Australian, and like as a teenager, I was like, ooh, Daniel Johns is so cute.
Yeah.
But I liked their music. Like Tomorrow was okay. They weren't one of the bands I like loved. They were more cool to like. Like the shirts were cool, the guys were cute. Like the songs are okay. But the funny thing is, so I just listened to them for the first time in like a long time, and I listened to Pure Massacre, and I was like, this is kind of terrible. Like well, because the thing with Pure Massacre is like it wasn't a great song, but also I was like, you're like 16 years old, like singing about war, and I was like, what do they really know about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I was like, where did that depth come from? Like, who wrote those lyrics? Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But the song that we heard tonight, wait, what was the name of it?
Freak.
Okay, so I totally forgot about the song. 'Cause he was like, there's another song, you know, that like, you're gonna know it. Yeah. And I was like, and then, wait, there's another one too. What did you say, Anna's song?
Anna's song. But actually, you know, honestly, from Neon Ballroom, that album, I would say Emotion Sickness is a song that everybody should listen to if they're going to listen to Silverchair. Okay. Because it's just like, it comes out of nowhere. When I first heard that song, I was like, whoa, he's taking some new steps. There's strings, there's orchestra. It's gorgeous.
Oh, what album is that on?
That is off Neon Ballroom.
But like, is it second, third?
Third.
What was their first album called?
Frog Stomp.
You're so good. I would not have remembered that at all. But there was a picture of a frog on it, and I had the shirt. Like, I should know that, guys. It's called Frog Stomp. Thank you. Yeah. So Freak is off of that album, though, right?
Freak is off of Freak Show, their second album.
Shut up! So I didn't know they had a second album. Yeah. I did not know that. So do you, like, when you when you listen to songs... like from the 90s that you loved, and sometimes they don't hold up, or the opposite happens, and you're like, actually, this is a good song. Right? I played him Imperial Drag earlier, and he was like, oh yeah, this is good. That was good. Yeah, that was really good. It's good, but I love it more now than I ever did in the 90s. It's fun because I think like you start to know music, like actually, you actually start to listen to the instruments and the harmonies and like the technicalities of it as you get older. Because when you're younger, you're just like, this is a cool song. You know, like you don't really know what you're listening to.
Yeah. I would say their third and fourth album, which are called Neon Ballroom and Diorama, are two of my favorite albums of all time. Like the way that Daniel Johns, the singer, progressed as a songwriter, I mean, it's amazing. The dude was like a little genius.
It's better than Pure Massacre?
Way better than Pure Massacre. Oh my gosh. Listen to Across the Night. Okay. From Diorama. That song is unlike anything. I mean, it's
how is it different from like their first like grunge album?
It becomes when I first heard Across the Night, I was like, I don't know if I like this because it's symphonic, it's orchestra, it's like
I like that though.
It's so different. It comes out of left field.
Like what would you compare it to?
Beach Boys.
Whoa!
Beach Boys, like,
I did not expect that.
Sounds. Yeah, Pet Sounds Beach Boys. Huh. Because they actually got Van Dyke Parks, who helped Brian Wilson and a lot of his stuff in, like, Smile, like, and that's who we got to help him with.
Guys, Silverchair turned into the Beach Boys.
It's amazing.
Who would have thought?
They also have some of the hardest songs, too, on Diorama. One Way Mule is an amazing song on that album. Heavy as heck.
I have never met anyone that like even knew Silverchair past. Well, I guess the second album. I guess I do know the second album, but like past that, I didn't know anyone that even still listened to them. And it was funny. My friend Liz that you met at Jimmy's show, she was like, "Oh, I listened to," because I had just listened to Pure Massacre too, and I was like, "Wow, this isn't really that good."
You're right.
And like, so Liz goes, "Oh, I just listened to Silverchair recently," and I looked at her and I go, awful, huh? And she was like, awful. Like that, like the first album, I don't know, it just, when you listen to it
he was like 16.
Well, that's the thing. I mean?
And that's what's so crazy. Like, imagine your 16-year-old high school band becoming that famous. Right. You know what I mean?
But then you listen to it as an adult, because, we loved it at like 14, 15, because we're that age. And now you're like, yes, this isn't really holding up. But I'm glad you said that about the other albums.
Dude,
so
Neon Ballroom, Diorama.
I feel like they've grown up with us because we're all like the same age.
They're amazing albums.
So they're not together anymore. Correct. I did look them up, but I did look up Daniel Johns, and ladies, he still looks good. So check him out. He has a lot. He has a lot of followers. I was just like, does Silverchair have an Instagram page? And I was like, no, they don't. So many of these bands, like, I want to tag them in episodes, and I'm like, oh no, they haven't existed for a long time. But Letters to Cleo liked a few of my Instagram posts when I tagged them in it. And I have a picture with Kay Hanley. I met her out here. She played with the Gin Blossoms. We'll talk about them another time because we probably won't have time tonight. But I have a great picture of her and I. And we're both from Boston. So she was so cool. We totally talked about Boston. Yeah. And I posted the picture and I tagged them and they liked it. And I took a picture of my studio and they liked it. I was like, Letters to Cleo likes me. I don't have that many followers yet, but
that's so cool.
I appreciate you guys. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about Failure. I actually didn't even know that I knew them. And then he was like, no, wait, what's the popular song?
Stuck on You.
Okay. So he was like, listen to the song. I listened to it. And I was like, okay, I do remember this, but like barely. And we're at the bar tonight, and the song comes on, and I'm like, isn't this the song you like? And he's like, no. No.
I didn't believe they were playing it. I couldn't believe it.
It was such a... So the funny thing about tonight is, like, we were supposed to go to a different bar with friends of mine. He's visiting from out of town, so we were like, we're like, oh, we're going to bring him out in LA, and we were supposed to go to this event, and they were like, we're at capacity. Yeah. So we go to this bar next door, and it's 90s song. We walk in, and the Spin Doctors are playing. And my friend looks at us, and she's like... We really got the 90s vibes for you guys, huh? And every single song was like 90s hit after 90s hit. And so the Failure song comes on and I'm like, isn't this your song? And he goes, no. I've never heard this at a bar.
Yeah, I would never
Like, they're not playing this right now. And then he looks at me and he's like,
that's the song.
This is the song. He's like, I can't even actually believe... What do you say? You've never heard it at a bar?
I've never heard that at a bar.
That's so crazy.
I've never heard anybody know that song.
I did know it, but, like, it's not one of the ones that I even remember. Like, I'm pretty good about 90s obscure songs.
Very true, yeah.
That's why I have, the whole show here.
Yeah.
But even that one, I was like, I probably wouldn't have remembered that unless you said it. All right, so Stuck on You. So what do you have to say about Failure? Tell me about Failure.
Yeah, so... In the 90s, they had 3 albums.
Okay.
They had Comfort, which is a great album.
Okay.
But it's very, it's a little more avant-garde, I guess. Mm-hmm. Steve Albini recorded that, who also recorded, In Utero.
Oh.
Nevermind. And a lot of PJ Harvey. He's very famous.
That's funny, because a friend of mine was just telling me that In Utero was so differently produced than Nevermind.
It was.
Nevermind was, very polished, because Butch Vig produced it, which is crazy, because he's in Garbage, and I always forget, I'm like, the guy in Garbage produced Nevermind.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's why they had to go back over, I think it was All Apologies and Heart Shaped Box.
Okay.
And, kind of mix them a little bit more commercial.
Oh.
Because the rest of it was so mixed, so...
It's messier.
Yeah.
But those are my 2 favorite Nirvana albums.
Yeah.
Is Nevermind and In Utero. I mean, the songs are just so good, but a friend of mine was telling me, I didn't even know what this is, I'm not a musician, so, but my friend was like, oh, Kurt Cobain didn't want to record doubles, and I was like, what's double? And he's like, when you record your vocals on top of your vocals.
Right.
And he didn't want to do it, and then I guess Butch Vig was like, John Lennon did it. And he was like,
yes, that's right.
And he goes, fine, I'll do it.
Right.
And, but he was like, he's like, if you listen to Nevermind versus In Utero, he said, Nevermind is way more polished and
way more, yeah.
And the production and I was like, I wouldn't know that because he's a musician, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not a musician, so I don't know any of that, But I find that stuff fascinating though. I watched the whole, because they had a documentary on the making of Nevermind.
That's right.
And I watched the whole thing and the interest. I remember 2 things about it. One was in Drain You, he was holding a cat toy. That
yes,
the noise
for the bridge.
Yeah.
And
something in the way he's laying on his back.
That's right.
Singing the whole time.
Because
I think they couldn't get the take, and he was unhappy with it, and so he just laid down and started singing it and then that was it. That was the song.
And the Batman brought that song back into the.
I did hear that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. All right, so is Stuck on You, is it off of Failure's first album?
It's off their 3rd album.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the big hit was off of the 3rd album. What happened to the first 2?
So the first one just went under the radar.
Okay.
The second one kind of also went under the radar. That's actually, so the 2 main people in that band are Ken Andrews and Greg Edwards. Okay. And they actually recorded the second one themselves.
Okay.
That's when they kind of took the charge. And so the 3rd album was Fantastic Planet.
Okay.
And it is just one of the most, it's probably my favorite album of all time.
Really?
The recording of it is insane.
Why?
It's so immersive. As in the 90s, I never heard an album that had so many different sounds and tones.
Okay.
I mean, from front to back, it's just one of the most amazing things I've ever heard.
Interesting. Yeah,
I want to buy them
because the 90s were very like power chords and distortion and mediocre singing.
And it's yelling. And it's a great mixture of it though, because it definitely has some like Nirvana influence.
Okay.
There's a couple of songs there, Leo and Pillowhead, and like there's some songs in there that like have that kind of influence.
Okay.
But there's some like just space rock, like just so much atmospheric stuff. There's a song called Another Space Song. It's just so amazing. It's like it sucks you in.
Huh.
Yeah.
So actually my favorite like 90s album, or probably favorite album of all time, is The Bends by Radiohead.
Oh, it's an amazing album.
But like everybody is like, what? Like people that are big Radiohead fans, they're like, you don't like, what about In Rainbows and OK Computer? Yeah, right. And I'm like, I love OK Computer. I love In Rainbows, but they're so like computerized. Yeah. You know, it's more of an electronic sound. And for me, like The Bends was just rock. Like,
super raw.
You know, and some of it was kind of chill acoustic, right? Like Fake Plastic Trees and High, you know what I mean? Like High and Dry was just very mellow. And I guess Tom York almost didn't put High and Dry on that album.
Really?
Because he thought it was going to be too commercial. And that was the hit. That was like the hit off of the album.
That was it.
But it's one of those albums that front to back I can listen to, and it's fantastic.
Great album.
Because I love, like, it's kind of, I was always like, do I love this? Because it's a bittersweet thing, and it's nostalgic, and it reminds me of high school, because it was, like, the big album I listened to with, like, my first love in high school. But now I still listen to it, and I'm like, it's still amazing. Mm-hmm. I can still listen to it front to back, and it never loses that zest, you know?
Can we say one more thing about
Yes,
Failure?
Please.
So the cool thing, too, is that as years progressed, right? They broke up in, like, I don't know, 97, 98 or something.
Oh, they weren't together that long. Okay.
No, and, like... And they were my favorite band for so long. And then these other bands started like finding them out. And for example, Perfect Circle, on their second album, did a cover of The Nurse Who Left Me.
Really?
Which was off Fantastic Planet.
Cool.
And I was like, whoa, people remember Failure? You know, and like, it's pretty awesome.
Well, that's the thing about Jellyfish too, is every guy that I know that's a musician in his like 40s, you know, like that age bracket, they all love Jellyfish. It's like this weird underground band that like only musicians in a certain age bracket, and I feel like it's all men. Yeah. They like love them. So it is interesting. Musicians will find like other musicians that are really good, even if they're underground. So every time I go to see Jimmy Necko play, it's always, I don't think you were at the show, but I went to one of the shows at the Viper Room recently, and the singer of Orgy, Jay.
Jay Gordon?
Yeah, Jay was there. Yeah.
Whoa, that's cool.
I was actually at a party with him recently, too, and I was like, I met you at Jimmy Necko's show.
I love Orgy, dude.
Yeah. And he's super nice, and he was there with his wife, and then Citizen Cope was there.
Oh, sweet.
And Jimmy like called him out on the stage, and we were going to see him in Joshua Tree the following week. And I was like, dude, we're going to see you next week. Like, it's so funny, because I didn't realize, I thought Citizen Cope was a whole band. It's just like one guy, basically. That's his name as the artist. I mean, he has a band. But yeah, I feel like really good musicians, even if they're underground, like good musicians know good music, and they will find it. So I'm not surprised that Maynard found Failure. Yeah. You know?
So Failure actually got back together because they like so many people were re-recording their songs, and I think Harley from Paramore actually recorded one of their songs too. But like people were just getting them known again, so they actually got back together, and they've actually come out with a few albums since then, and they're actually touring right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I highly recommend seeing them. They're one of the most amazing.
Are you going to see them?
Yes, absolutely.
Where?
Well, actually, they're playing in Vegas. If they didn't already, they're doing it very soon.
Cool.
But I will be seeing them in San Francisco. I think in July.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What were you telling me earlier, too, that Haley from Paramore covered? We were talking about this earlier.
Sunny Day Real Estate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Faces in Disguise.
I never got into them, because even after you mentioned them, I listened to them, and I was like, they're okay. Like, I never was big into them.
The Rising Tide. Check out that album.
Okay. That's
what converted me. Well, it's one of the most amazing...
Give me your favorite song off of that album.
Ooh. It might either be The Rising Tide or Killed by an Angel.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Killed by an Angel, I think I listened to.
Rain Song.
Okay.
Rain Song.
All right, yeah. I've listened to them like a couple times, and I was never like wowed by it, but people love them, so I think I have to give it more of a listen, maybe.
Give The Rising Tide a chance. It's one of the most beautiful, ethereal albums I've ever heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a fun story about Haley, current time, I went to Coachella for a weekend too with a friend of mine, and I was dying to see Billie Eilish because I've never seen her. And during her set, Haley came out and they sang "Misery Business" together.
Oh my god!
And I have video footage of it,
amazing.
and I sent it to all of my friends who are Billie Eilish fans because I like. So do you know Haley listens to Jimmy too from ours?
Dude, Haley Williams has the best music taste.
But I think I think I read this in an interview or something that she started listening to him when she was like 8.
No,
I was like, oh, cool little kid.
Like,
I was listening to an 8 crisscross.
Oh my god, wait, real quick about Haley Williams.
Yeah.
So Deftones has a song called Passenger with Maynard.
Okay.
There is a video of her going out there and singing Maynard's part.
Yes.
And it is so good. She harmonizes with Chino. I'm like Haley Williams is so freaking badass.
Her voice is insane.
Insane.
Like, everybody do yourselves a favor and look up. I've watched this video so many times and it never gets old. Like, she has a good voice. I mean, she's an amazing voice. Like,
amazing voice.
You see her live, she's great. You hear the recording, she's great. This video is out of this world, and it's if you Google Paramore's live version of Decode, and it's on a radio station, it's live and it's black and white. I think it's the first one that comes out. If you look up Decode live. Honest to God, her voice, like, the album, I mean, I've listened to that song a million times of the recording of it, but her live performance of it is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Her voice, like when she sings that part, like I used to know you so well, and she sings that part well that's really long, and it's like, I remember my friend's boyfriend listened to it and he goes, she's like a bird. Like that's all you can compare it to, because it's, I don't even know how to describe it. Her voice is insane. Like, it's nothing I've ever heard, and I will watch it over and over and over again, and I'm like, how does she sing like that? Like, how do you do that with your voice? Because I've seen her live, and it's like, even then, I mean, I don't know.
She's amazing.
It's crazy. This performance is crazy.
And then also look up her performing with the Deftones, the song Passenger.
Okay.
It's so good.
I love the Deftones.
It's
I don't know
so
a lot
good.
of their stuff, but the ones I do know.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Deftones songs, and Maynard kills it on the recording version of it.
Maynard's great.
And I've seen them play with a lot of singers.
Okay.
And it's not that it's bad, but Haley she just goes out there and just crushes
She's so
it.
cool. She was like before her time, I feel like.
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to Pucifer?
Hell yeah.
Maynard's side band?
Yeah.
So I loved the song that Mila Jovovich was on.
Yes.
M is for Mila.
Yes.
Guys.
It's such a great song.
It's so good. And I was like, who knew Mila Jovovich could sing?
Yeah. The What Do You Know one?
What Do You
What
Know?
Do You Know?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, such a good song.
It's so good. I was
Yeah,
like, what a badass she is. She's beautiful. She acts and she sings.
And she sings.
Like, go Mila.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Last band of the show, Local H. So you all know Local H probably from the freaking song Bomb for the Floor, which is like, you just don't get it, you keep it copacetic. He kind of sings in like the same tone the whole time.
Very catchy.
Yeah, and everyone knows it. I'm not going to play that one today because I have 2 obscure ones that are dope. And so we're at the bar earlier, and this song comes on, and I'm like, I look at him and I go, Shazam the song. I know the song. I know the song. I know you know the song. And he's like, I know the song. I feel like I know the song. And as he's Shazamming it, I'm like, is this Local H? I don't know why. It just like popped in my brain. He goes, yeah, the song's called Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
I don't think I even knew that they sang a song called Eddie Vedder. But great story about Local H is the night before the official COVID lockdown, where it's like I was sent home from work and we were really like done. I went to see Soul Asylum, and Local H opened for them. So that was my last show for 2 years, before everything opened. I did go to a drive-in show, actually, but, like, I feel like that doesn't count. But I was like, Local H! Like, loved them, and I forgot that they had the song High Fivin' Motherfucker.
Great song.
It was so good. And, like, I've just listened to it on repeat since then. I'm just like, Bomb for the Floor, I don't think was their best song. No. You know how sometimes, like, songs get popular?
Yeah.
And you're like, God, they have so many other... This is the whole point of my show here.
Yeah.
It's like, bands, I feel like, get popular for a song that isn't their best song. And I think they have better ones. Okay.
You know another cool thing about Local H?
Yeah.
Funny story. So, I'm of color. My
Okay.
brother's of color.
Yeah.
My brother's a drummer. And I remember their drummer at the time was also of color. And we were like, at the time in the 90s, you didn't see a lot of that.
No.
You know? And we thought that was so cool. We're like, hell yeah. You know? To see some representation like that.
So we saw, because I know you just went to the Hollywood Cemetery movies, and we saw The Craft
Nice.
for Halloween.
Love that movie.
Amazing. And the whole cast came out on stage except for Fruza
Fruza Balk. I was going to be like...
The other 3 girls did.
That's so cool.
But Rachel True, I think she said it because she was the black one.
Yeah.
You know, of the 4 girls.
Yeah.
And I think she said, like, she didn't feel like that was a big deal to her.
It was a super big deal.
Because it was all, you know, white girls. And they didn't really diversify back then.
No, they did not.
You know?
Yeah, I remember this, yeah.
And she was like, I almost feel like they weren't ready for, like, a black
No, they
lead.
were not. Yeah.
You know? I remember her saying that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I always think of that, like, when I see her. So before we wrap the show, I just want to do all the social media plugs. So the Instagram for this show is 90's Obscurity, 90s Obscurity. I post a lot of great 90s throwbacks. I've actually met a lot of these bands and hung out with them, so I post like old school photos. Some of them are terrible. It's like I showed them a picture tonight of me in the Toadies tour bus and I'm in a headband and I'm like, guys, this is clearly the 2000s because I'm in a headband. They were like, yeah, Rach, this isn't a good photo. But you know, it's fun. So if you want to email any song suggestions or artists that you'd like featured on the show, you can email 90sobscurityradio@gmail.com, so 90sobscurityradio@gmail.com. You want to plug your social media?
Sure, yeah. You can. My Instagram is Suburbanoia.
Okay.
You can find my music on Bandcamp, theblackoutchildren.bandcamp.com.
I didn't even know he had music.
I keep it really secret.
I was like,
I'm really shy.
I was like, do you have music you want to play? And he's like, oh, it's only a Bandcamp. We don't need to play it. It's a few years old. I'm like, that's okay. Wait, so it's on Bandcamp. I do have Bandcamp. Some people like release stuff on Bandcamp, and I'm like, why are you making me use another app? Just put it on Spotify. So what's the name of your band again?
The Blackout Children.
The Blackout Children. Do you sing?
I do.
Okay. You play anything on it or just?
I play everything on it.
Oh, you
Guitar,
do? So it's just you?
Yeah, it's just me.
What's the vibe?
I would say it's kind of like early 9 Inch Nails, kind of
Love
Filter,
it.
Deftones, kind of. Yeah.
I met Richard Patrick from Filter too.
That's amazing.
Jimmy also opened for him.
Oh, that's so cool. Filter. Ooh, another great band.
Fun story too. So in the 2000s when we had MySpace, my friend entered a radio show contest to win backstage passes. So back in Boston, it's no longer, but it was WBCN. Biggest radio station we had up there, and every year they'd have the WBCN River Rave. And Stone Temple Pilots headlined. And Filter played, and like Pennywise played, who we don't listen to. And my friend thought that if she said that the band, because you had to say what band you wanted to meet, and if you won, you got to go backstage and meet them. So my friend thought that if she said Pennywise, she would win, because she's like, no one wants to meet Pennywise. Like, everyone wants to meet Stone Temple Pilots, because they're the headliner. We win! Because we had, and it wasn't based on, they didn't pick, it was based on MySpace votes, and it was me calling all of my friends going, vote for us, because we're like, we're winning, and I want to go backstage. So we win, and then BCN calls her, and they go, congratulations, you're going to meet Pennywise. And I was like, can we change that? Like, we don't even listen to them. And my friend was like, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. I just said it because I thought we'd win. So we go backstage and they bring us into this room to meet Pennywise. And we're like, hi, guys. Like, we're so not enthused by this because we don't listen to them. I was hammered. I'm like stealing beers from the fridge that I wasn't supposed to be taking. So, anyways, I have a picture with Pennywise too.
That's amazing.
But the cool thing was afterwards, we go out to the main area, and I see Richard Patrick, the singer of Filter. And I was like, dude! I was like, my buddy Jimmy just opened for you. And he was like, you know, I introduced myself. He was like, Rachel, that guy is this big and his voice is this big. It fills the room. He was so like, true. He's incredible. And I was like, oh, I know. Like, that's why I'm a fan.
So true.
Nicest guy in the world. I'm going to do an episode on Filter at some point.
Heck yes.
Because they're headlining a festival this summer called Flannel Nation.
Oh, man.
With Soul Asylum and Candlebox and Sponge. It's like all of the 90s bands that I love. Man. So I think I'm going to do a Flannel Nation edition and talk about all those bands. But I have a great picture of Richard. It's not a great picture. It's in the 2000s on a flip phone. It's a terrible photo. But it's cute because I'm really excited to meet him. So I'll post on my Instagram at some point. So that is my fun filter story. And we also did end up meeting the guys from STP out there, but Scott Weiland was like nowhere to be found. I don't think he was a very social guy. Because I remember I asked the BCN girl, I was hammering, I was like, where's Scott Weiland? And she was like, he's probably in a room by himself doing drugs somewhere. And I was like...
But you met the DeLeo brothers?
I met...
guitarists and bassists?
I was so drunk. I met some of them. Couldn't tell you which ones.
You probably, yeah.
Because I only, like, I feel like
There's only 4 people.
Especially back then, it's like you kind of only knew the lead singers. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in bands. Like some of them, like Pearl Jam, I would know Mike McCready or something. You know what I mean? But, like, Stone Temple Pilots, I know who the DeLeo brothers are now. Yeah. Because I know more music people. But back, I was probably, like, 22. Yeah. And I knew. I was just like, where's Scott? He's the one I know. Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Wow. We'll have to check out your music there. So say it one more time.
The Blackout Children.
Blackout Children.
Also, and on YouTube, Ricky Kelley. Kelley. You can find my video.
R. Kelly?
R. Kelly.
Do you get that a lot?
I keep that on the download.
So my friend has an ex named Ricky that she was like, she's still like trying to get over. Mm-hmm. And, like, I told her you were coming down, and she was like, can we call him something else? Because every time I would say the name Ricky, she was, like triggered.
Oh, God.
And I go, we can call him... I go, I don't know, his name is Ricky Kelley, I can call him R. Kelly. And then I was like, R. Kelly!
That's not, that's...
And I was like, no, I don't want to call him that.
That's going to be far more triggering, right?
Yeah, we're not calling him R. Kelly. All right, Blackout Children, Bandcamp, and YouTube, it's under that, too?
Ricky Kelley.
Oh, just under Ricky
Kelley.
Kelley. I gotta check this out too. I didn't even. He's low key. He's a little secretive about his music.
I'm a little shy.
Well, get over that.
I'm trying.
I mean,
I'm here.
I guess a lot of musicians are shy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys next time.